Get your computer powered up, please. Still getting a few kids coming in from home. Okay. Yeah, you'll just have to sit on the floor there. All right. Let me get my computer on the right stuff. Still waiting on some of my kids in the classroom to quickly join. Everybody should be on Reading Canvas. Here comes my classroom, kids. Now we're getting it. We're almost all in. Is there anyone that's not in yet in my classroom? Okay, one. All right, almost there, guys. Jose, are you in? Almost. I don't know why you're typing. All right, is there anyone in the classroom not in? Quickly. All right, David's working on getting in. All right, while he's getting in, I'm going to go ahead and start showing you what we're doing today. So let me start with my screen share. I want to remind kids the Zoom chat is for us as teachers and students. It's not there for you to be talking to each other, so please refrain from doing so. Alrighty, so here we go. It is Thursday, and you'll see there is a note right there for you guys to pay attention to. Take a second and read that. Make a copy of the subordinating conjunctions. You remember that note that I put into the module yesterday and we had on our page yesterday? So you need to make sure you're putting that on notebook paper, either in your reading spiral or your reading folder. And then I will ask you to turn it in tomorrow for a 100 in writing. So those of you here in the classroom, you can just show it to me. Those of you at home, what you're going to do is you're going to submit it either video or picture like you did with your reading notes. Okay? Is there any question about that from anyone? Does everybody know where to find those notes? If you scroll down, it'll say reading notes, subordinating conjunctions right there. Okay? So you're going to copy that chart. We're going to be using that paper copy over the next several weeks when I ask you to create sentences, and you'll need a list of words to be looking at and choosing. All right, so if you'll go ahead, the first thing on today's agenda says complex sentences. So if you'll go ahead and click complex sentences. Okay. And just like yesterday, remember our goal is to create those sophisticated middle school sentences, complex sentences. We want to move away from those short and choppy sentences that primary kids write. I am happy. I like blue. Okay, we want to move away from that. And I gave you another chart of conjunctions right here. You're welcome to add that to your paper copy. Again, anytime you can look at these little words and choose what to use, it'll help you out. I will tell you there's probably 50 or more of subordinating conjunctions. There's a ton of them. So I'm just giving you a few. All right, if you'll scroll down and look at number 1 on your screen. So I have an example here of short, choppy sentences. The thunder crashed amidst the lightning. The ground shook. So 2 short and choppy sentences. And we learned yesterday that we can choose a subordinate conjunction and combine those sentences. Okay? Jaden, we're not doing that right now. So you have 2 choices, Xander, when you want to join them. You can put the conjunction at the beginning of the sentence, like this, but if you do, you're going to have to put a comma after the dependent clause. When the thunder crashed amidst the lightning, comma, the ground shook. We also learned that you can put that conjunction in the middle of the sentence and not need a comma. You also can change up the order. Up here, the ground shook came last, but here I went ahead and put it first. And it's okay to mix it up and do it that way. The ground shook when the thunder crashed amidst the lightning. Okay? All right, now scroll down to number 2, and it says you try it, and you're going to type your sentence in the Zoom chat. Use the subordinating conjunction because with these 2 short, choppy sentences. I stayed up late playing video games. I am exhausted today. So combine those 2 sentences with because, and please type it in the chat. Go. Type it in the chat on your computer. That's why I had all of y'all join Zoom today. And as they're starting to come in, you can take a look. So as you're looking, notice that Xander, what are you looking for? We don't need a pencil. Type it in the chat, Xander. Have you joined the Zoom, baby? You don't have time to do that. Look at my screen and then type in your chat. There you go. So make sure, always, 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 what do we start our sentences with, kiddos? Capital letters. And what do we end it with? Some type of punctuation, right? So looking at what you wrote, if you started with because at the beginning, what also do you need in your sentence? Comma. Okay? So look at some of the choices. Because I stayed up late playing video games, comma, I'm exhausted today. Perfect. And thank you for capitalizing the word I. So we've been in school for 9 weeks. And I've been putting comments on your papers. Guys, we capitalize the word I. If you don't capitalize it, I'm taking points off of your grade. We learned to capitalize I in kindergarten. I expect my middle school students to do that. You is spelled how, everybody? Y-O-U, not you. Remember, you're not texting your teacher. You need to write formally with me. Okay, let's see. I also have I stayed up late playing video games because, ooh, that doesn't work, does it? How about I am exhausted today because I stayed up late playing video games, period. Yeah. All right, guys, well done. So let's practice identifying some of those tiny conjunctions. So if you would at this time, open up a different screen and we're going to play Kahoot. Y'all were ready for it, huh? All right, so the first way to get good with these conjunctions is to become familiar with them. And so by making those notes, you're becoming familiar with them. By playing this game, we're becoming familiar with them. And then hopefully over time, you will learn to use them automatically in your own writing. All right, go to kahoot.it and your number is just being formulated. It's coming. There you go. There's your number.
No, please don't turn it off.
No, the music irritates me. Sorry, Xander. I have to turn it off.
How do you turn it on?
It doesn't matter.
No, something like to turn it on in the game.
All right, so we need 16 players. Remember, first name is all that's needed.
I think my last name is so we know who the voice is.
I'm sorry, say that again louder.
I put my first name and my initials so we know which David it is.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. If you have two Davids, we definitely need y'all's last initials. But everybody else, just your name. I'm going to ask you guys to stop doing anything else that y'all are putting, the little pluses and all those little symbols. Just put your name, please. Let's see. I need one more person.
Wow, we have 16.
Who is Ace?
Major. That's Major.
Ace? Nope, that's not going to work. Put in Major. I said first names only.
What's my name? Major is There you go.
Xander, again, first name only. Fix it. Guys, I'm not kidding. You're wasting our playing time because you're not following directions. All right, let's play. All right, first question. What kind of conjunction connects two ideas to form a complex sentence? Coordinating conjunction, subordinating conjunction, correlative conjunction, or function junction? Five seconds, make your choice. Okay, to the 4 people who got it wrong, did you notice the answer was right there?
I know.
I am so proud that nobody pointed that out because this was a trick question. It was right there. I was seeing who was watching the screen. All right, there's our board. Tim will come with us if we go on the train. Which word is the subordinating conjunction? If, with, us, or thee?
I have that song stuck in my head now.
Okay, about 5 seconds. Take your guess if you don't know. Waiting on one person.
No.
Yeah.
Legit, all the words are on.
So I want to remind my live class kids that you are to stay silent because you need to let people think, and then you need to let me talk, okay? No. What I want to point out to you is there's a trick you can use, remember? Sometimes the conjunction's at the beginning of the sentence, isn't it? Especially if there's a comma, but not always. The other place you're going to find it is the middle of the sentence, right? So those are two places that you can look for it. Oh, that was a big change on our scoreboard. All right, here we go. Number 2. Unless it rains tomorrow, I am going to the beach. Which one is the conjunction? It, going, unless, am. Yeah, notice what it started with, unless it rains tomorrow. If you were to just stop there, that's a dependent clause. It's depending on you to add more information. It's not a complete thought. Sally's on fire. Well done. I was late today because of the traffic. Remember, we're not making comments. Okay, 10 seconds. Make your choice. What word is joining the independent and dependent parts? Well done. Because I was late today is a complete thought. Because of the traffic is dependent. It's dependent upon the rest of the sentence. Because the student was new, no one knew her name. Oh, much better. Yeah, because it started with it, because the student was new. If we stopped right there, it's dependent. It doesn't make sense. If the bus is late, we will have to walk to school. Oh, well done. If was your conjunction. Everyone got it right. Unless the ice melts, school will be delayed. Melts, will, unless, be. Ten seconds. Oh, yay! Good job. Unless is your conjunction. Well done. You guys are all on fire. All right. Which of these words is not a conjunction? If, because, unless, underwear. I wanted to give y'all a giggle. Very good. All right, number 9. You can go to the movies, blank. You have to do your homework first. Fill in the blank. Unless, but, if, could. $10 seconds. Yeah, the word is but. You can go to the movies, but you have to do your homework first. But means that's a either this or this, right? It has to happen. All right, Jaden's on fire now. Okay, last question. Blank, she was last in line. There wasn't any pizza left. And, unless, if, because. Okay, about 10. Oh, well done. Yeah, because she was last in line, there wasn't any pizza left. Well done, guys. All right, so here's our podium. In third place, we have Jaden, followed by second place, Sally. First place goes to Emberlyn. Woo! And our runner-ups are Suri and Alex. Well done. All right. So in that case, it was coming down to how fast they answered since they got them all right. Okay, kiddos, if we will go back to our reading canvas. So again, the more and more familiar you become with these little words, the easier it will be to use them, okay? So now if you will click Start Your Quiz and find number 1. We're going to do this together super quick. This is just kind of a little check for me to see how you're doing with this new information. All right, so question 1. Regarding subordinating conjunctions and everything you've learned the past 2 days, what type of words are subordinating conjunctions and how are they used? Type your answer in the box. I'm not worried about spelling. No, look at the question. How would you describe them or tell me how we use them? Either one of those would be giving you points. Hush, please. Okay, I still see a few fingers typing. At home, a few heads are bending down. Just what do we use them for? About 10 more seconds. Okay, scrolling on down to number 2. When using subordinating conjunctions, sometimes you must use, and your answers may be in a different order, a comma, a period, a question mark, an exclamation mark. Number 3, why do 6th graders need to use subordinating conjunctions? Use the blue sentence stem to write your answer. We use subordinating conjunctions in order to, and fill in the blank. You have to copy the blue sentence and then you fill in the ending of it. Where that little line is.
Can you add that?
Well, honey, you have to add to that sentence in order to answer it.
I know, but what I'm saying is that doing it only 3 letters, or do we have
Oh, no, you type as much as you need to finish it. Sorry, I didn't get what you were saying. Okay, as you finish number 3, submit your quiz. And then click next at the bottom to go to the reading assignment for today.
You want us to log in?
Did I tell you to? Okay, let's take about 10 more seconds to finish the that writing assignment. At home, you'll have to let me know how I'm pacing with you. A lot of you have your cameras off, and so I can't tell if you're looking down and typing or if you're ready to go on. Does anyone at home need more time? Okay. I see a few people typing. If you're in the classroom, please take your hands off the keyboard if you're done with the writing so I know you're done. Cool. So while we're waiting, just be thinking about what you've been learning about dramas. Think about the elements of drama. Okay, does anyone in the classroom need more time? Okay, does anyone at home need more time? Okay. If you would, while we wait, go down in your chat and type, what do you remember about things you would see in a drama? Don't worry about the spelling. Okay, I see character. Yep, theme, plot, good. What specific things do you see in just a drama? Very good. Stage directions. Dialogue. Good, good.
It's a solution problem.
Very good. All right, I think we're ready to go on now. Very good. All right, so if you'll stop typing in the chat and take a look up at the screen, Damon and Pythias. So some of you guys were putting things in the chat that had to do with fiction stories, which is absolutely true. Lily, put that up, please. We have to look for the plot elements, especially like the turning point, the climax, which is the change. We want to look for the theme. And always we're looking at characters, right? So in The Forest Bride, for example, we were looking at the brothers and how did we describe the brothers at the beginning of the story? And then how did they change and how did we describe them at the end of the story? Do you remember all that? Mm-hmm. That's the kind of stuff we're going to do today in Damon and Pythias. Before we begin the play, though, I want to build some background and help you out with some vocabulary. So if you're in the classroom, if you'll look at my screen, if you're at home, I'm about to click on number 2, And if it's easier for you to click on the link on your own computer at home and listen, feel free to do that. So here's a little bit about our story. All right, so that gave you a little preview. And then the next thing I want to do is just give you a few of the words that you're going to see in the story. So again, if you'll just look at my screen on this one. And these are words that you're going to encounter. You can see the historical setting is long, long ago in a place called Greece. Specifically, did it say Sicily or Greece? Sicily. Okay. Sorry, it's taking a minute to load. All right, here we go. So Damon and Pythias, those are the names of our two friends, our two main characters. And what you saw in the video, it was actually a story where they took pictures, but now it's been turned into a play, and that's how we're going to read it. So here are our words that I want to make sure you're comfortable with. So y'all know how to say that word? Jaden, stop playing and look at mine. Tyrant, yeah. And in the play, it's going to say, the king of the country was a cruel tyrant. And then it gives you just some information. Throughout history, people have suffered under the harsh laws of tyrants. And then it gives you some picture supports. Okay? So a tyrant is someone who is very harsh, an unjust or unfair ruler. And it's going to give you a little bit more picture support. The next word is rebel, which also kind of goes with rebel if you think about it. And the line in the play reads, "Why didn't the people rebel?" At long last, the people rose up to rebel against the unjust laws. So you see them marching and such. So rebel is where you're resisting a ruler's power. You see them lining up, you see them marching. Appointed, have they appointed you their champion? Travis was appointed most valuable player after the game. Jaden, take your hands off your computer and look at my screen. Thank you. And you see the picture support there. Appointed means you're named to an official position. And then we have the word traitor. I consider him a traitor, but I'm certain he's no fool. Every country has harsh laws against anyone who is a traitor. A traitor is someone who betrays another person's trust. Then we have honorable. Still, would an honorable man like Pythias let such a good friend die for him? To be an honorable person, one must always try to do the right thing. Honorable, deserving of honor or respect. All right, so that just gives you a little bit of background knowledge there. Okay, so now back on your Canvas page, scrolling down, number 4 is the close read of the play. And I've given you a copy of the play right here, and you can click on that arrow out to make it a little bit larger for you to read. I think it's going to ask you to open it in your Google Drive, which is fine. You would open it with your Google Drive. But because it is such a long play, I actually have read it to you. So you can either follow along on your own screen, or you can watch my screen up here if you're in the classroom. And I want you to pay attention to Damon and Pythias. And the king. How do you describe them at the beginning? How do you describe them at the end? How do they change? What's the theme? Okay? All right. And it is a little soft, so you're going to have to listen closely. I'll turn it up just a sec. Yeah, I know, sweetie. I'm working on it. I'll back it up as soon as I get it playing.
The island of Sicily, 2 young men named Damon and Pythias.
All right, here we go.
Damon and Pythias by Stan Kisses. Sound. Iron door opens and shuts.
Xander, what in the world are you typing?
The music is up full and out loud. The narrator.
Get off that chat, Xander, and don't you do anything else in that chat.
They were known far and wide for the strong friendship each had for the other. Their names have come down to our times to mean true friendship. You may hear it said of 2 persons. First voice. Those 2, why, they're like Damon and Pythias. Narrator. The king of that country was a cruel tyrant. He made cruel laws, and he showed no mercy toward anyone who broke his laws. Now, you might very well wonder, second voice, why didn't the people rebel? Well, the people didn't dare rebel because they feared the king's great and powerful army. No one dared say a word against the king or his laws, except Damon and Pythias, speaking against a new law the king had proclaimed. Ho there! Who are you that dares to speak so about our king? Notice Pythias is speaking unafraid. I am called Pythias. Don't you know it's a crime to speak against the king of his laws? You are under arrest. Come and tell this opinion of yours to the king's face. Now notice you have a large space here. And then we have stage directions, music, a few short bars in and out. That's letting you know that we have a scene change. So pay attention to where our scene is happening now. When Pythias was brought before the king, he showed no fear. He stood straight and quiet before the throne. Now notice, the king is being told to speak in a hard, cruel voice. So, Pythias, they tell me you do not approve of the laws I made. I am not alone, your majesty, in thinking your laws are cruel, but you rule the people with such an iron hand that they dare not complain. Now notice how the king's feeling, angry. But you have the daring to complain for them? Have they appointed you their champion? Now you'll notice this has a little number. So if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, it'll tell you a champion is someone who fights or speaks for another person. No, your majesty, I speak for myself alone. I have no wish to make trouble for anyone. But I am not afraid to tell you that the people are suffering under your rule. They want to have a voice in the making of the laws for themselves. You do not allow them to speak up for themselves. In other words, you are calling me a tyrant. Well, you shall learn for yourself how a tyrant treats a rebel. Soldier, throw this man into prison. At once, your majesty. Don't try to resist, Pythias. I know better than to try to resist a soldier of the king. And for how long am I to remain in prison, your majesty, merely for speaking out for the people?
Xander, stop
Notice that
and
the
watch.
king is going to speak in a cruel tone. Not for very long, Pythias. 2 weeks from today, at noon, you shall be put to death in the public square as an example to anyone else who may dare to question my laws or acts. Off to prison with him, soldier. Notice again we have a scene change. We have the blank, and then the music again is in and out briefly. When Damon heard that his friend Pythias had been thrown into prison and about the severe punishment that was to follow, he was heartbroken. He rushed to the prison and persuaded the guard to let him speak to his friend. Oh, Pythias, how terrible to find you here. I wish I could do something to save you. Nothing can save me, Damon, my dear friend. I am prepared to die. But there is one thought that troubles me greatly. What is it? I will do anything to help you. I am worried about what will happen to my mother and my sister when I'm gone. I'll take care of them, Pythias, as if they were my own mother and sister. Thank you, Damon. I have money to leave them, but there are other things I must arrange. If only I could go see them before I die. But they live 2 days' journey from here, you know. I'll go to the king and beg him to give you your freedom for a few days. You'll give your word to return at the end of that time. When you give your word, you're making a promise. Everyone in Sicily knows you for a man who has never broken his word. Do you believe for one moment that the king would let me leave this prison, no matter how good my word may have been all my life? I'll tell him I shall take your place in the prison cell. I'll tell him that if you do not return by the appointed day, he may kill me in your place. No, Damon. You must not do such a foolish thing. I will not let you do this. Damon, don't go. And then you notice Pythias is talking to himself here. Damon, my friend, you may find yourself in the cell beside me. Music, in briefly and out. Notice Damon is begging. Your Majesty, I beg of you, let Pythias go home for a few days to bid farewell to his mother and sister. He gives his word that he will return at your appointed time. Everyone knows that his word can be trusted. In ordinary business affairs, perhaps, but he is now a man under sentence of death. To free him, even for a few days, would strain his honesty, any man's honesty, too far. Pythias would never return here. I consider him a traitor, but I'm certain he's no fool. Your Majesty, I will take his place in the prison until he comes back. If he does not return, then you may take my life in his place. Now notice the king is astonished. That means surprised. What did you say, Damon? I'm so certain of Pythias that I'm offering to die in his place if he fails to return on time. I can't believe you mean it. I do mean it, Your Majesty. You make me very curious, Damon. So curious that I'm willing to put you and Pythias to the test. This exchange of prisoners will be made, but Pythias must be back 2 weeks from today at noon. Thank you, Your Majesty. The order with my official seal shall go by your own hand, Damon, but I warn you, if your friend does not return on time, you shall surely die in his place. I shall show no mercy. So when you show no mercy, that means you show no forgiveness, no second chances. Notice again the music, so we have another change of scenery. Pythias did not like the king's bargain with Damon. He did not like to leave his friend in prison with the chance that he might lose his life if something went wrong. But at last Damon persuaded him to leave, and Pythias set out for his home. More than a week went by. The day set for the death sentence drew near. Pythias did not return. Everyone in the city knew of the condition on which the king had permitted Pythias to go home. Everywhere people met, the talk was sure to turn to the two friends. Now notice it says first voice. That just means it's some person who lives in the kingdom. We don't know who they are, though. Do you suppose Pythias will come back? Why should he stick his head under the king's axe once he has escaped? Still, would an honorable man like Pythias let such a good friend die for him? There's no telling what a man will do when it's a question of his own life against another's. But if Pythias doesn't come back before the time is up, he will be killing his friend. Well, there's still a few days' time. I, for one, am certain that Pythias will return in time. And I am just as certain that he will not. Friendship is friendship, but a man's own life is something stronger, I say. 2 days before the time was up, the king himself visited Damon in his prison cell. We hear the sound of an iron door being unlocked and opened. The king says in a mocking voice, mocking means you're making fun of someone. You've seen how, Damon, that you were a fool to make this bargain. Your friend has tricked you. He will not come back here to be killed. He has deserted you. And notice how Damon responds. He's calm and he speaks firmly. I have faith in my friend. I know he will return. The king mockingly says, we shall see. Then we hear the sound of the iron door shutting and being locked. Meanwhile, when Pythias reached the home of his family, he arranged his business affairs so that his mother and sister would be able to live comfortably for the rest of their years. Then he said a fast farewell to them before starting back to the city. And notice Mom's stage directions. She's in tears. Pythias, it will take you 2 days to get back. Stay another day, I beg you. I dare not stay longer, Mother. Remember, Damon is locked up in my prison cell while I'm gone. Please don't weep for me. My death may help bring better days for all our people. So Pythias began his journey in plenty of time. But bad luck struck him on the very first day. At twilight, as the sun was going down, he walked along a lonely stretch of woodland. A rough voice called. And notice what we're calling that voice? The first robber. Not so fast there, young man. Stop! Notice Pythias is startled or surprised. Oh, what is it? What do you want? Your money bags. So that's like a bag that you carry your coins in. My money bags? I have only this small bag of coins. I shall need them for some favors, perhaps, before I die. What do you mean, before you die? We don't mean to kill you. Only take your money. I'll give you my money, only don't delay me any longer. I am to die by the king's order 3 days from now. If I don't return on time, my friend must die in my place. A likely story. What man would be fool enough to go back to prison to die? And what man would be fool enough to die for you? We'll take your money all right, and we'll tie you up while we get away. Pythias starts begging. No, I must get back to my friend. Notice his voice is fading away. I must go back. But the two robbers took Pythias' money, tied him to a tree, and went off as fast as they could. Pythias struggled to free himself. He cried out for a long time, but no one traveled through that lonesome woodland after dark. The sun had been up for many hours before he finally managed to free himself from the ropes that had tied him to the tree. He lay on the ground, hardly able to breathe. Notice the music comes in and out. So again, that's a clue that we're having a setting change.
It was a time change.
After a while, Pythias got to his feet. Weak and dizzy from hunger and thirst and his struggle to free himself, he set off again. Day and night he traveled without stopping, desperately trying to reach the city in time to save Damon's life. On the last day, half an hour before noon, Damon's hands were tied behind his back and he was taken into the public square. The people muttered angrily as Damon was led in by the jailer. Then the king entered and seated himself on a high platform. We hear the sound of the crowd voices. We hear a soldier loudly saying, "Long live the king!" And then we hear a first voice in a low voice say, "The longer he lives, the more miserable our lives will be." The king in a loud and mocking voice, "Well, Damon, your lifetime is nearly up. Where is your good friend Pythias now?" Damon says firmly, "I have faith in my friend. If he has not returned, I'm certain it is through no fault of his own." Ha! The sun is almost overhead. The shadow is at the noon mark, and still your friend has not returned to give back your life. Damon says quietly, "I am ready and happy to die in his place." The king says very harshly or mean, "And you shall, Damon. Jailer, lead the prisoner to the..." And then suddenly we hear the sound of the crowd voices increasing to a roar. We hear a voice over the noise say, "Look, it's Pythias. Pythias has come back." Pythias is breathless as if from running, and he says, "Let me through! Damon! Pythias! Thank the gods I'm not too late." Damon quietly and sincerely says, "I would have died for you gladly, my friend." The crowd is loud and demanding and chanting, "Set them free! Set them both free!" The king very loudly says, "People of the city!" And the crowd voices die out. Never in all my life have I seen such faith and friendship, such loyalty between men. There are many among you who call me harsh and cruel, But I cannot kill any man who proves such strong and true friendship for another. Damon and Pythias, I set you both free. We hear a roar of approval from the crowd. I am king. I command a great army. I have stores of gold and precious jewels. But I would give all my money and power for one friend like Damon or Pythias. We hear the sound of the crowd roaring their approval, and the music goes up and out.
Ah, what a story.
That was a good story.
It is a good story. I agree. All right. So I do want you just to spend a moment quietly right now. Do not start a quiz. Don't do anything at all. And I just want you to reflect and think back on Damon and Pythias and the king. Hands off your computers.
Oh, I forgot we were still on the Zoom.
Think about how they were at the beginning. Think about how you would describe them at the end. Lily, hands off the computer. Think about which characters showed change and think about what made them change.
Oh,
And then think about the theme. What was the life lesson? Okay. You'll notice it says do not take the quiz until tomorrow. Okay? This was just a first read of it to get a basic understanding of the story. Tomorrow we're going to come back and we're going to do the quiz together so that I can put some of these questions into kid-friendly terms for you. Okay? So don't do the quiz today. Does that make sense? All right. So just keep in mind that your your subordinating conjunction notes are due tomorrow. So you need to make sure you get that copied and ready to show to me tomorrow. And that is it for today, my darlings. All right. Thank you guys at home for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow. If you need to ask me something, you can stay on Zoom. If you're in my classroom, if everyone in the class will log out,